Hey folks, this is Rebel Rousing Rich Bergeron.
Ladies and gentlemen, a tornado turning Pentacal.
Yeah, it's like Tom Patrick with his crystal ball on.
All right, we took a little break.
Tom, did your crystal ball call that blowout last week?
Put it this way, I got the right guy winning. Okay. Now, when I was asking the crystal ball about the time, it was a little foggy. So but yeah. Oh, what can you say?
Yeah.
So. Before we got on the air, we were saying like Joe Smith's a guy. He's a guy, easy guy to root for. He's tough, blue collar fighter. Doesn't take a backward step. Strong, physical, good right hand. Defensive liability. So he's always in for a good fight. Beterbiev is a fighter that is an insanely strong pressure fighter. Someone was asking me not that long ago, because there's a term out there, he's strong. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, he's strong. And it's almost hard to, and the way the guys that I always come up to mind when you say they're strong in the ring, obviously one of our top guys, Rocky Marciano. Rocky, for a guy that was 4, felt like in the ring he was 284 because he was just that physical. I'll tell you another one. He was not that long ago, and I'm not sure if he's still fighting, but he always reminded me of what they quote unquote a strong fighter was Saki Obika, super middleweight.
Right.
Fought guys, fought for world titles. Fought guys like Andre Ward, Peter Manfredo. Fought a lot of good fighters. He stopped Manfredo, I think, in like 2 or 3 rounds actually. But he was a guy that was just so physically imposing that he weighed 168, but in the ring he felt like he was 268. And someone said to me like, boy, you're in the ring with this guy. How does he feel? I said, he feels strong. What does that mean? And I know, talking to a non-boxer one time, we were talking about somebody in the ring being strong. This guy was a football player. How much does he bench press? I don't know. well, how much can he lift? How much can he squat? We don't measure that by that. I measure it how you feel. I remember sparring a guy, and this guy was, he was a light heavyweight. He was around 175, 180. And they said, like, he used to do, like, 2,000 punches a day and, a lot of, like, 1,000 push-ups a day. And I remember getting in there and someone saying, like, hey, he's pretty strong. You may outweigh him right now, or you're, because I think it was about 190 at the time. 190. But he's strong. I said, yeah, okay, whatever. And we got in there, and he was coming towards me, and I was jabbing him, and I was boxing a little bit. Like, but I could feel his strength without actually, having any contact. And, maybe in there with a guy, people said I was strong, where, I'd like to punch a guy on the arms, and it would, back him up. And, man, it's like he's strong in the ring. It's just, a natural type of strength exacerbated by a guy like Beterbiev, who, have you ever seen him do push-ups? He's doing, push-ups on the back of his hands, then on his knuckles, and, Scully had a video the other day. He was back in the gym on Monday, and he had, 2 big hammers, looked like the hammer of Thor, and he was swinging them and hitting a standing-up truck tire with them. I'm like,
nice.
Yeah, I've seen that. I watched that.
Yeah, it is.
And add the fact that he's so technical. Yeah. In addition to having that caveman
fast, very fast
strength, and this guy's got a chin of concrete. But when you add the technique, the short, crisp punches, how those little short punches have to be so devastating. Beagle's going to have his hands full.
Yeah, and Tom, it's funny you said caveman type strength, because when we were at his fight back in 2019, when he fought down in Philadelphia, and thank God the political climate then wasn't like it is now, because it was a Russian-Iranian fighter, and it was already tense enough there. And we were sitting with all the Ukrainians, and then when the guy was losing, it really was getting ugly. But my dad looked at him and goes, "You know what? He even looks like a Neanderthal."
He does a little bit.
But yeah, I mean, facts are facts. And this was, and you know, in Joe's training, I'd like you guys to weigh in on this. That supposedly Joe had a gym to himself, and you know, I seen him hitting the mitts and working the bag, but I never seen him sparring much.
Yeah.
And you know the importance of sparring. I mean, you've got to be in there, not just with one guy. I mean, you've got to fight southpaws. You've got to fight slick guys.
I feel like Joe has...
You've got to fight brawlers, you know, guys that are going to rough you up.
In some situations where he's just
fighting a guy
been
like
slightly
Beterbiev,
technically better than his opponents over the course of his last few fights. And, you know, he strung some wins together, but he's always had that weakness that I hate seeing in a fighter, which is... You know, you keep that one hand low without the speed of the up jab. That guys can get away with it.
Right.
You know, like Floyd Mayweather can do that all
Right,
day.
and in good sparring, now
Joe
again,
Smith
I don't,
can't do that.
You know,
And
maybe
against the
you
guy
guys
with
don't. Maybe you guys have seen him spar a lot. I haven't. I've looked at some of the training videos, and I just haven't seen that.
Tom, you read my freaking mind.
The Philadelphia, the Philadelphia gyms. I've heard that all my life. The kind of sparring that goes on there. Sometimes it gets too much of a good thing. Mm-hmm. But the point is, you get to go. You climb in there with everyone of all styles, and you have to get better just to stay in there. If you don't get better, you're out. And Joe did not have a plan B.
Yeah.
I mean, after the first round, you know, he went back and he was like, you know, back in my party days when I'd be at the bar for a couple hours, you know, and I knew he was in a jam, and I was just hoping he could have started some movement, maybe trying to pop the jab, but he just charged in those wild shots. He just,
talking about the training now, with the sparring. Now, I know when they would always do the all access and the 24/7s, you know, for some of like the big fights, you know, over the past few years, certain guys would never allow sparring to be seen at all. Floyd Mayweather being one of them. You know, you would never see him. They would actually kick you out and they would shut the cameras off. They were never allowed to film his sparring. I don't think Joe Smith's on that level, but that could be a situation where his trainer might say, you know what, no, we don't want any. We'll let you see him work the pads. We'll let you see him work the bag or jump rope or run or hit the truck tire or whatever. But you can't watch him spar. That's
okay. But Mayweather didn't hide that. I didn't hear anything from Joe's camp about making a big deal about no one sees my sparring sessions. Mayweather was always open about that. No, you ain't seeing this.
Right.
So I don't know.
And it depends on how vocal the trainer is too. You know, because Mayweather's on obviously a different level than Joe Smith. So it's like if Joe Smith comes out, well, nobody doesn't watch my sparring session, you know, and they like that gets aired. It's like, well, who the hell are you, right? Like, you're no Mayweather. But once again, it could be we're not going to allow this, but you know, don't publicize it. And that's just ability. The other thing that I was
Joe
thinking,
was sparring
you know,
the trees. He had no time for actual sparring. He's a tree guy. He's cutting trees down.
Yeah, he's tackling trees, trying to chop trees down. But the other thing, if I was training Joe Smith for this fight, and you're right, we don't know who he sparred, and you know, we don't know what types of styles, you know, came in there. From being a Philadelphia guy and being in a gym that had a lot of sparring, you know, when you were just training, you matched up with whoever was in the gym today. Hey, so-and-so's in the gym today, he outweighs me by 25 pounds. Well, guess what? You ain't got nobody else. Or, you know what, this guy in here, he's a southpaw. I'm not fighting a southpaw. Well, I'm fighting a southpaw. This guy's orthodox that I'm, you know, is in the gym. Well, that's what you got today, you know? It's when you started getting the bigger time, like the higher caliber fights, is when they started, you know, trying to get you sparring to mimic who you were fighting. If I was training Joe Smith, I would be trying to get in pressure fighters that were about 225 pounds. You know, guys that were really going to get on him and get him ready for the intense pressure of Beterbiev, who's 175. So by that, you're training and you're preparing at a higher level of what you're... and perfect example, and unfortunately we weren't able to do this, was I had a guy from my gym. He ended up, I think it was the USBA middleweight title back in 2006. His name was Willie Gibbs. And what effectively ended his career was he was fighting Edison Miranda on like a year later. And Miranda caught him with the right hand, and when Gibbs went down, he actually tore ligaments in his knee, and he was never the same. Even when he came back, like a year later, he never had his legs under him again. But when Willie was getting ready to fight for the USBA middleweight title at 160, I was running about 190, 195. I didn't have any fights coming up. I wasn't in like my 175, 180-ish range where I was normal. I was a little heavier, but I had been lifting, and I was 30 pounds heavier than Willie. The guy he was fighting was a very intense pressure fighter. Well, they were like, "Yo, Tony, can you come work with him a couple days, getting him ready for this fight? Because we want your pressure stop at 30 pounds heavier to mimic what he's going to fight in the gym, but at even a higher level and higher weight and higher power than what he's going to face. So by the time he gets in there with this guy, it's going to feel like, the guy's, much lighter and, not as strong." Unfortunately, that's right when I ruptured my appendix. It was 2 weeks before, or 3 weeks before camp was going to start, and, opt out, because I wasn't going to be healed in time.
Well, Tom brings up a great point about sparring, and I believe that his crystal ball was tapping into my computer, because I had a story all teed up for this episode. It's actually been ready for a couple weeks, but I just never have mentioned it. Just keep missing it for some reason. But there's actually been a health study on sparring with MMA fighters, but I mean, it's kind of the same thing with boxing. 92 active professional MMA fighters, and the Cleveland Clinic and Johns Hopkins University both coordinated to do this study. And guess what? They found out that it wasn't just expected link to brain damage. They did find some of that, but they also showed something very surprising with their study. And here's a quote from one of the scientists. He said, "We expected to see a decrease in size of measured brain regions due to repetitive impact. Instead, we found a significant increase in the left and right caudate. This is an area of the brain that plays an important role in movement, memory, and learning." So basically, this change could be explained by sparring, which combines high-intensity exercise, constant strategy, and complex movements. And this doctor said the sparring practice could better prepare fighters for professional bouts as well, like Tom said, and help them avoid head trauma, like knockouts, during the actual fight. Bottom line, rather than causing damage, the mental and physical activity of sparring appeared to give these parts of the brain a boost. And they need some more research in it, but the doctor said these could be neuroplastic effects which lead to improvements. There may be neuroprotective effect of sparring when done safely. So,
wow, that's a most unique conclusion.
Yeah.
But I like it. That's interesting.
Yeah, you created the segue for that one.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's a little bit the same for boxing.
Like I said, it just Joe even said before the fight, he was asked about this, if he, what his plan was. If he had a fight plan, and he said, "Well, I'm just going to have to get in there and see what's working." Well, I understand that, but you should have a general. We knew it was going to be plan A is move forward. That's what he does. But if you're charging into those camps, well, is there a plan B? And there wasn't. There was no plan B.
Yeah.
You know what? And obviously a much, lower level. I'll tell you a fighter that had a great career, was a champion, a Hall of Famer. Rarely ever had a plan B. And the few times the plan A didn't work, plan B failed because the lack of plan B failed miserably, and that was Joe. If you go back, Joe like he was a pressure, come forward, bob and weave and start winging that left hook. And even in fights, where he had some trouble, that eventually, like Oscar Bonavena the first time, he was eventually able to overcome it. But when that first fight with Foreman, when he went down, like, he did not have the ability to, let me move, let me get my sense back under me, let me box a little bit, and then try to, get back on my horse here. That one there. He never had the chance to let his head clear because he waded right back into it when he was already, pretty much, on rubber legs.
And then think about it. If you're Joe Frazier going into that fight, everyone you have fought, including Ali, has not been able to slow that freight train down. I mean, Joe Frazier in his prime was like an oncoming train.
Yeah.
And so, I could kind of understand why he felt maybe I won't need this, because he'd never been outboxed really either. So I mean, it's just hard to say. But I mean, for most people, most fighters, I think there should be some contingency plan. Or if you don't, you just got to go down gun swinging, as Joe did. So as both Joes, as Joe Frazier did against Foreman. I mean, it's getting knocked down 6 times, and wow, and still having to charge back.
Who can beat him?
Obviously, that's a good analogy, Tony.
That's the question. Who can beat him? Who's going to beat Beterbiev?
You look at that fight. Same thing with Joe Smith. I mean, he was stopped on his feet. Yeah. I mean, when that fight was stopped, I mean, he was on his feet. And you could tell, like, I mean, he was trying to get his legs back from under, and he was like, staggering around pretty bad. He actually turned his back at one point, not as like quitting, but as the fact that he got spun around trying to keep himself standing up. Same thing with Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier got up every time, and if the referee didn't stop it after that last knockdown, when you could tell he was bleeding out of the mouth, and he was, hurt bad. That last uppercut lifted him off his feet. He would have came back and kept going, and he would have kept getting up. And I think Now, not to move ahead, but I can't help myself thinking about this. The fight that we want to see, those of us that are hardcore, is Bivol and Beterbiev. Now, I guess they're talking about Beterbiev having to go to London to fight this Anthony Yard, I believe.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as assuming that goes the way it's planned, I wouldn't sleep on Bivol completely in this.
No, not at all.
Because there's just something. I mean, I think he's a smart fighter, maybe the smartest, and he was just had to be watching that and saying, "Okay, I'm not going to be charging in here like that." So, boy, what a showdown this is set up.
And if we got Bivol is a fighter that, unlike Joe Smith, Bivol touts a very tight guard. Yeah. And uses an educated jab, and he uses a lot of straight punches. If you go back and you watch that Bivol Canelo fight, he didn't throw a lot of 1-2-3s. He did more 1-2-1s. It was like a 1-2 and then another heavy jab. It wasn't like a snap. It wasn't like a flip jab. It was a 1-2 and then a third punch, kind of a cross between a hook and a jab, but it was a heavy punch.
Nothing fancy, just effective. Great cardio, great defense. Boxing IIQ is Mensa, so I'm so looking forward to that if we get to see it. But with all the alphabet soups, who knows?
Yeah, all the mandatories.
So depressing. It's just ridiculous.
All right.
On another topic that I saw today, let me ask you guys this. Big Baby, Jerron Miller is going to have his first fight now. I think it was since the pandemic. Is 41 pounds too heavy?
Slacker! Can't do it without the juice.
Yeah, that's right, because he had a couple of suspensions because of a type of steroid or illegal substance, right?
Yep. That's exactly what it
is.
is.
No, but coming in. No, are you? Wait a minute. Are you talking about his opponent? Are you talking about him? He's coming in at 340. 340
Wade.
Ouch.
Tipping the Toledos. That's an old phrase. That's an old boxing phrase. He's tipping the Toledo. Boy, that's old school stuff.
Oh boy.
So he tips the Toledos at 341.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Well, we got some boxing this weekend, and we got a lot of MMA to cover. Fortunately, boxing's been a little slow for the big name fights, so that was really the biggest fight we've had in the last, really 2 weeks. Was that Joe Smith fight? But we got some fights this weekend, and Saturday's obviously a big day. And it's going to be a big one in Bolivia. I love this fight card because 99% of the people on this fight card have 3 names minimum. A lot of 4-name people. And
hopefully Jesus fight.
Yes.
We got to have a Jesus fight.
They're starting with Jesus fight, and this is one of the funniest ones because Jesus' first name in this case is Walter.
Wow, Walter Jesus.
Walter Jesus Roca Rivero. He is 12-1, and he's fighting Jorge Ordóñez Montenegro, who is 4-4. So it's the headliner, and I think Jesus is going to win that fight. Walter Jesus. You love the names on this one, though. This is a good one, too.
That's quite a title.
We got a guy also named Angel on this card. That's one of his 4 names. Making his debut. Carlos Angel Schmitter Gutierrez. SCHMITTER. Where did that come from? That's just thrown in there. All right. He's fighting Alexander Acosta Tano, who's 0-1.
Oh.
So, yeah. It's just a funny one.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the stand-up comedy.
Here's a tough one.
Keep them coming.
Yeah.
Keep them coming, bud.
Czech
Let's go.
Republic, we got a mismatch of the week in the main event. Edmund Zeffy, he's 10-2, fighting Peter Gina. 8-56 with 2 draws. 56 losses.
8-56, huh?
If I wasn't putting all my money on Walter Jesus, I would put my money on the guy with the better record.
Wow, yeah, that's a little bit of numerology there. Yeah, 8-56. So we got 1/7 of his fight.
ugly stuff.
Oh, I'm exhausted tonight. That's why I'm getting silly.
Yeah.
Cut me off. Just keeps going.
I had all my silliness at the wedding. Once I got drunk off the White Claw, I realized what the White Claw phenomenon was. I figured it out. Oh, everybody's like, oh, the guys are drinking the ladies' drinks now. But you know what it is? It's the most hydrating thing you can drink. I found the Trulies and the White Claws. I mean, it's like
what is it made of?
It's like a wine cooler, basically. But I don't know. I never had a hangover. I drank like 8 of them the night of the wedding I went to. And
so they're making fun of you for drinking a woman's drink. Well, man. Well, you know how to answer that, Rich. Real men drink what they want.
Yeah.
Say real men don't drink. Men drink what they want.
No, it's really like it's not like a taboo, but guys have been trying to drink them all the time, and I was just like, whatever, I'll drink them.
It's a 2020 version of Zima. Remember Zima? It was out around the 90s.
Okay,
it's around.
I like it better than that.
2020 version of Zima. And you know what? I was at Zima at a party and I drank it because I drank it and I mixed it with Mad Dog 2020. I don't give a shit.
Oh man. Reminds me a little
of
of Boone's
Mike's
Farm.
Hard? Is that stuff
Boone's
still
Farm
around?
in a can.
Mike's
Hard?
Oh
yeah.
The lemonades and the hard ciders. I mean, sure, I'll drink them. Now, my one friend's, when his wife comes over, she's a Twisted Tea fiend. I mean, I think I've had it once. I mean, hey, if I'm in a pinch and I need something, well, guess what? Yeah, I guess I'm going to drink it. I'll drink my go-tos are my normal beers. I'm Italian, so I will drink wine from time to time, but not as much as a normal Italian does. And then my JD, Jack Daniels honey,
There you go.
And then
That's a good choice.
yeah, and then I love champagne. I can drink out of champagne. This was me being an asshole a couple years ago because that's what I do. I was going out one night, and my friends were like, "Oh, where are you going?" I said, going out. I'm going out with this girl tonight." They're like, "Oh, who?" Oh my God, her name's Jacqueline Danielle. Really? I'm like, "Yeah, this little honey from Tennessee." They're like, "Where'd you meet her?" I'm like, "A bar." Oh my God, you gonna send us a picture tonight? And I'm like, "Absolutely." So when I got there, and the one bartender that I knew came over, and I was like, "Yeah, listen, I need a shot of Jack Daniel's honey." I said, "Do me a favor, hold the bottle up." And I just make sure I didn't get her in it because I didn't want to no confusion. Just the bottle. I said, "Oh, my little honey, Jacqueline Danielle is here, and me, her, and I are gonna party."
Nice. Yeah, I got scratched by the White Claw, but it was actually a pretty good situation. It's got me a little worried, actually, the whole wedding thing that I just did down in North Carolina, basically. We spent like just almost a week, short of a week down there, and it was such an amazing setup. Like, this is my fiance's son's wedding, okay? Now, me and my fiance are going to be getting married here in the next couple of years, so, I was taking notes in a lot of different ways. But, I don't know. It's like, it's like when you're trying to make a comeback, and, like, Mike Tyson comes out of nowhere and makes a comeback and puts you to shame. You're like, how am I going to top that? So this thing was such a smashing success and so much fun. I mean, it's like making me think, how the hell am I going to top that? How am I even going to match it is what I'm worried about. So I'm going to have to save some money. Because it definitely was expensive, but man, it's perfect. Everything went well. I had a great time. My girlfriend had a great time. She helped out quite a bit with some of the stuff. And we almost actually started talking, well, we did talk seriously about her and her sister getting involved in like a wedding catering business or something. Get me back into the wedding photography maybe under the same roof. Because they catered the whole party Friday night, the welcoming party, and everybody was talking about it. There's a couple people suggested they should actually do that. And I was just like, oh, wow. So that's not a bad idea. But anyway, I got so much stuff I'm already doing. I could probably not get involved in that right now, but maybe down the road, maybe a retirement job. But anyway, North Carolina, yeah. It's a little different down there, a little different. Tell you. Sad note, we actually had a fatality, fatal driving accident right at the end of our road where our complex was. We had like an Airbnb out of a condo association, basically, house. And, already I kind of was like, what the hell is going on with the roads down here? 'Cause it seemed like every highway had red lights and intersections. There wasn't just like a dedicated highway, except for maybe like a couple places with exits. Like, it's just not like it is up north. So, I was not surprised to see there was a fatal accident right down the street from us. And there was actually 2 accidents within a half an hour of each other in that same block that night. It was nuts. And it wasn't even like a typical busy night. I think it was like a Thursday or a Wednesday. But anyway, other than that, I loved North Carolina. It was a little bit hot. I can't complain otherwise. It's great. Good little vacation. But had to put it in an end and had to come back and get to work. And we're back here now. And we got quite a lot of news to cover and a lot of stuff from weeks past to get into. But we got a little bit more boxing. We actually have an ESPN Plus card this weekend. It's not really like, super famous people, but we got a couple good matchups. Somehow I sped past it here. Oh, what is this? There is currently no text on this page. What does that mean? Clicked on the wrong thing. Alright, so ESPN Plus. Hecky Butler at light flyweight, 33-4, fighting Elwin Soto, who's 19-2 at light flyweight in the main event. Co-main is flyweights Yahir Allen, Frank Verdugo, 9-0, and Carlos Mejia, who is 8-2-1. Then we got super bantamweights. 19-0, Rafael Espinoza, looking for win number 20 there, fighting Gerardo Valenzuela Munoz, who's 11-1. Okay. That's a big stacked card. Lots of stuff going on in Mexico. What is it? Mexico Boxing Weekend? This is a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot every week, but jeez, it's a lot. That's a lot for Mexico. And we got a decent one in Poland even. 7-0 Ihozvani Rafael Garcia fighting Rhino Liebenberg, who is 22-8-1. And then we got somebody's always got to go in an obscure Polish fight here. Radomir Obrozniak at lightweight. He is only 6-0, but he's fighting Zsolt Ozadan, who is 21-0-1 for the vacant Republic of Poland international lightweight title. Well, that's not our typical somebody's always got to go. But a good one. It's our title. Ooh, here's our Jesus Needs a Miracle Jesus fight of the week from Madrid, Spain, of all places. Antonio Collado at lightweight. He is 4-0. Facing Jesus Ruiz. I wonder if he's related to John. He is, but this Jesus is 0-14. 0 wins. Jesus needs to walk on water to get a win here. It's going to be a tough one. Tough matchup for Jesus. Jesus Ruiz. Nice and short. I like the nice and short Jesuses as well as the 4 named Jesuses. And we got our Fawns fight of the week as well over in London. Fawns Alexander. He's got lucky 7 wins to go with his 129 losses and 1 draw at welterweight. He's fighting George Henon, who is 4-1. Also got a guy named Jordan Granum, who is 6-93-4, facing somebody making their debut on the same card. Yeah, Fawns. Fawns looking for win number 8. It's always the United Kingdom. We should go over there sometime, Tony, and do like our own little documentary on these opponents. Round them all up. And, get their motivations. Why do you keep fighting? Do you like to lose? How much do they pay you to lose on purpose? No. There's also some decent fights over in the United Kingdom this weekend. One for a title in the main event. It's going to be on Sky TV over there. Sam Eggington, 31-7, fighting Permislav Zisk, who is 18-0. That one's for the vacant IBO World Super Welterweight title. We got a super lightweight co-main event. Kaizi Benjamin, 15-1-1, fighting Carlos Daniel Cordoba, 15-7. Then we got River Wilson Bent, who is 12-0-1, fighting Tyler Denny, who is 13-2-3. That one's for a title, the vacant BBBFC English middleweight title. Yeah, that's about it for the good ones. That fight card. What else is going on around the world? Not much televised this weekend, that's for sure. This one's for a lot of titles. Doesn't say it's going to be televised, but it probably should be. We've got from the Techport Arena in San Antonio, Texas, a main event of Super Bantamweights, 10-0 Morjan Akhmadaliev against Ronnie Rios, who's 33-3, fighting for the WBA Super World Super Bantamweight title and the International Boxing Federation World Super Bantamweight title. And then we got not Jesus, I should say, but Jesse Rodriguez Franco, 15-0, fighting Wisaksil Wangek, who is 50-5 with one draw, fighting for the WBC World Super Flyweight title. And then the ever fearsome TBA against McWilliams Arroyo, who is 21-4 for the WBC Interim World Flyweight title. Well, I'll say it's interim. You don't even have an opponent. And a whole lot of female titles in the welterweight fight. 11-2, Jessica McCaskill against Alma Ibarra, who's 10-1. Great matchup there. WBC World Female Welterweight title. WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO all on the line in that bout. And if that wasn't enough title fights, we got one more at featherweight. Raymond Ford, 11-0-1, fighting Richard Medina, who's 13-0. That could also classify as our fight of the... Somebody's always got to go fight of the week. That one's for a couple titles. WBA Continental Americas featherweight title and the IBF North American featherweight title. Even one fight that's not for a title is pretty decent. Super welterweight Nikita Ababi, 11-0, fighting No Larios Jr., who's 14-1. All right. This is about it. We're down to the bottom of the list there. So we got to go do some MMA now, and we're going to start in the best place to start. A couple weeks ago, the main event between Jiri Prochaska and Glover Teixeira. My, oh my. I didn't win any money, but boy, that was one of the most thrilling fights I've ever seen. I felt so bad for Glover because I kind of had the feeling that he was going to get the win, and he was cruising towards it, and in the very last round, he slipped up and he gave up a choke, and that was it. It was really the only major choke Jiri got anywhere close to even trying, because, I mean, Glover's just a jiu-jitsu expert. You know, he gets out of stuff. He weathers storms. Like, he had just an amazing chin in that fight. He took a lot of strikes. I mean, Jiri was pretty much looking like he was showing off at one point, and it was just a matter of time before Glover fell over like a tree getting cut down. And Glover just went for a takedown, and just... I mean, there was countless times in that fight where you thought he was done, and then there was a couple times where he almost had Prochaska done, elbowing him and cutting him up, and I mean, it was definitely a big candidate for fight of the year, and there will be a rematch. It just shows you, though, how fast some of these young up-and-comers can rise to the top and get that belt on just pure talent and dedication, and that's what Prochaska has done. He had some weaknesses, but I mean, his durability above all, I think, was the number one trait that shined through in this one. Just so durable, and a lot of those strikes, a lot of those techniques would have not only worn out other fighters, but would have put their lights out. He walked through a lot of stuff, and wrestled through the hard times, and lasted those 5 rounds to get that chance to get that choke. So, I mean, both guys just put on phenomenal performances, and it's kind of sad that, like an old school veteran like Glover has to freaking have nightmares about that last few seconds where he slipped up, because he should have had that fight. But, it's just like one of those things. You learn from it, and so he's just going to be a better fighter next time out, and it's going to be a war again. I expect nothing less, so I'm glad in that respect we're going to get to see it again real quick. Most of the other fights went sort of as planned, except I did not expect Joanna Jedrzejczyk to retire after the fight, after losing by a brutal spinning back fist. But yeah. So those were the two big ones for me. That was emotional watching her quit. and foreign territory too. Closer to Weili Zhang's home than hers, that's for sure. So that was weird, but yeah, I knew it as soon as she took the gloves off that she was going to do it. I kind of sensed it, and then she did. Right, did you get to watch these ones, Tom?
Yeah, and I just had that feeling about Jiri when I seen him training out in the woods, delivering Muay Thai kicks to a tree. I said, "Yeah, this guy's special.
Yeah.
This guy's different." I mean, just Glover had worked so long, and I was kind of hoping that he could have pulled it out, but Jiri it's hard to train against a guy like that.
Yeah.
I mean, he does so many goofy moves. He's one of those few guys that can take that kind of karate style and make it work. Most people can't. But this guy can just mix things up so much, it'd be hard to really prepare for him.
Right. I was begging for the
so
more
I guess
leg kicks.
There's going to be a European battle
with
him and Jan. I guess there were some words exchanged, and Jan was kind of getting in his face, and I guess Jiri went to blow a kiss at him. So it's going to be Poland and Czechoslovakia going at it. That'll be entertaining.
Yeah, I don't know. That's going to be crazy. But I give Glover a better shot the next time around. I think he'll do more of his wrestling, more of his jiu-jitsu, and he'll have a little bit more confidence on the feet. Looking back at this fight and looking at all those elbows he landed, there was actually a meme going around that's like a music video almost that they've set to the tune of Glover basically beating the crap out of Prochaska and then trying to go for guillotine in the middle of it instead of continuing with the striking on the feet, which was just about to knock Prochaska out. And it says in the caption, the moment that Glover could have won it.
Yeah, that old clip.
Yeah.
Why change success?
Yeah.
Why change success?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that again and again and again. So in boxing, the guys outbox your opponent for 11 rounds. All of a sudden, you're going to do something at 12. Why?
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Also, we had Valentina face the fight of her life against Taila Santos, and I'll tell you, that was a lucky split decision on Valentina's part because I've never seen her sweat more. She got put through the paces, and Taylor almost stole that one. If it wasn't for that old cliche, you got to really take it from the champion. That could have been the belt around Taila Santos' waist on that one, so... Inches by inches, Shevchenko won that one. No doubt about Weili Zhang, but Jedrzejczyk was definitely gamer. In the first part of that fight, she just, just looked bad. The more strikes she took, it was just, and like she said afterwards, she prepared for it. She was ready, but something about that performance must have told her this is just really not worth keeping it up. She wants to be a mother too, so that factors into it a lot. Anyway, Jake Matthews at welterweight got a big win, knockout in the second round over Andre Fiallo. And one of the guys I picked correctly on this card, Jack Della Maddalena, he had a sweet, impressive set of knockouts at welterweight, and I looked at Emiad and he didn't really impress me that much, and it didn't really impress Della Maddalena either because he TKO'd him in the first round, 2 minutes and 32 seconds in. Joshua Kulibayo over Sung Woo Choi by split decision, and then we got Maheshet Heiser over Steve Garcia. That was a 1 minute and 14 second knockout punch. Brendan Allen over Jacob Malkoon. That was a unanimous decision win for Allen. Kyung Ho Kang over Batjaral Dana by unanimous decision. Silvana Gomez Juarez over Na Liang by also first round knockout from punches, 1 minute and 22 seconds into their fight. And then Jocelyn Edwards over Ramona Pascual by unanimous decision. And you get in trouble when you do these lineups and stuff, and you bet money on fights when you're like, oh, I'm rooting for the hometown guy. I used to do it more in football on FanDuel than anything, but I had a horrible card because I was rooting so hard for Calvin Kattar. I didn't even consider Emmett winning that fight, and he got a split decision win. Pulled it out. But some of the guys I should have known to pick. Kevin Holland and Joaquin Buckley, I should have had them on every card that I put together. I knew that I should have known they were going to finish their fights early. And they did. Holland by submission in the second round, 1 minute and 28 seconds into that one against Tim Means. Joaquin Buckley against Artur Beterbiev was a TKO from a doctor stoppage at the end of the second. And then for that, Damir Ismagulov beating Goram Kudaladze by split decision. Gregory Rodriguez knocking out Julian Marquez 3 minutes and 18 seconds into their fight. Adrian Yanez over Tony Kelly.
That was brutal. Wow, that was an execution.
Oh, Yanez, yeah. Oh, I saw that. Brutal TKO. 1 minute, or first round, 3 minutes and 49 seconds in. Natalia Christina De Silva beating Jasmine Jusadavicius by unanimous decision at flyweight. And another one I should have known. Jeremiah Wells over Court McGee. And that's another one, Court McGee, I follow on Facebook. I've been watching him coach his son in wrestling. You know, you almost like get attached to these people to the point where, like, you know, you see this guy every day, you don't want to root against him. You know, I see all of his posts and stuff, and like every one of them, and he got knocked out in 1 minute and 34 seconds. So should not have backed him in this one, I guess. But Jeremiah Wells is pretty great up and comer, looking good with that kind of knockout. Almost all of them were from punches too on this card, the knockouts. Except for the fifth fight of the night, Ricardo Ramos with a spinning back elbow knockout 1 minute and 12 seconds into his fight with Danny Chavez. It's tough to pick those lightweight ones where it ends in a knockout. Like featherweights, I usually stay away from because you don't expect those ones to end early, but that one did. And Cody Stamann was a good bet. I had him on. I think I did have one card that won on this my lineups that week. Cody Stamann was one of my picks, so he beat Eddie Wineland. He was the favorite, and Wineland was the cheapest fighter, but he did not waste time. There was another TKO from punches, 59 seconds into the first round. Phil Hawes at middleweight also got a knockout over Jerron Wynn. TKO in the second round, 4 minutes and 25 seconds into that. And then Roman Dolidze over Kyle Dacus. Fighting brothers there, Kyle and Chris, I believe, Dacus. But Kyle's did not do so well in this one. I thought he was going to do better. I picked him on a couple lineups that didn't win. But it was a knockout from knee and punches. 1 minute and 13 seconds into round number one. A lot of early stoppages. And then by that, I don't mean controversial. I mean first or second round. Those are the ones you get to pick. So not really good on that one. Alright, so this weekend we have everything. We have PFL. We got Bellator. Both tomorrow. And we got some ex-UFC fighters in the PFL. Main event, not so much. It's a heavyweights. Bruno Capoloza, 15-5, against Matthias Scheffel, who's 15-8. This is from Atlanta, Georgia, by the way. But the co-main event, Anthony Pettis. He interviewed his brother Sergio like 12 years ago now, I want to say. But never could get him back on the show. Anthony is now in one of the feeder leagues, but he's in the position to try to fight for $1 million check. So he's facing no slouch here in Stephen Ray, who's 23-10. Pettis is 25-12. It's a lightweight fight. And we've got a good mix of different weights on this one. Whereas, leading up to this, we've had just certain weights where they're narrowing it down with the tournament style. So we're going to see more mixed up weight classes on different cards. So we've got a lot of heavyweights on this one to go with the lightweights and featherweights. But featherweights in the number 9 fight, Chris Wade, 21-7, fighting Kyle Bochniak, who's 11-6. We got heavyweights 2 in a row. Renan Ferreira, 9-2 against Klitzen Abreu, who's 16-5. Antti Deliha, 20-5 at heavyweight, fighting Shelton Graves, who's 9-5. And then we got featherweights again. Bubba Jenkins, 17-5 against Reynaldo Exon, who's 18-5. Dennis Goltsov at heavyweight, 28-7, fighting Maurice Green, who's 10-6. And we'll go back to featherweight for fourth fight of the night. Lance Palmer, 22-6 against Shaymon Moraes, who is 14-5. Sam Kay at heavyweight, he is 8-5, fighting Juan Adams, who's 9-4. And then 2 featherweight fights to start off tonight. Alejandro Flores Garcia is 21-3, fighting Ryoji Kudo, who is 10-3. Brendan Loughnane in the leadoff fight. Boy, that's a record. 22-4 at featherweight, fighting Ago Hoskik, who is 8-4. And we got a UFC event on Saturday. Well, let's go to Bellator first, because that's also tomorrow. I want to go in chronological order here. But tomorrow it's going to be UFC on ESPN 38. Saturday. But tomorrow, Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. We got Gegard Mousasi in the main event. Title fight, middleweights. Fighting Johnny Eblen, who is undefeated at 11-0. But Mousasi is 49-7-2. And you better believe he wants that number 50 in the win column. So Johnny Eblen might be getting the number 1 in his loss column. This should be a fight worth watching. Leandro Higo in the co-main event at bantamweight. He is 21-5, fighting Danny Sabatello, who is just 12-1. But we'll see how that goes. You never know sometimes. And then we got a guy who got named twice, Magomedov. He is 18-2, fighting Enrico Barzola. He is 18-5-2 at bantamweight. And then Brennan Ward at welterweight, 15-6, fighting Cassius Kane, who's 12-7. Dan Moret at lightweight, 15-7, fighting Achilles Moda, who is 12-3. Lucas Brennan, 6-0, fighting Johnny Soto, 4-2 at featherweight. Brent Primus, 11-2 at lightweight, fighting Alexander Chablis, who's 21-3. And Kat Zingano at a female fight. She is 12-4 at featherweight, fighting Pam Sorensen, who's 9-4. And it just keeps getting better. Oh, this is a good one. Middleweights. Anatoly Tokov, fighting Muhammad Abdullah. Boy, that's a Muslim name if I ever heard of one. Anatoly is 30-2. 30 wins, 2 losses at middleweight. Muhammad Abdullah is 10-5. Sabah Homasi, also on the card, 16-10 at welterweight, fighting Macon Mendonça, who is 11-5. Another female fight at flyweight, Alejandra Lara, 9-5, and Ilara Joanne, who's 9-6. Cody Law at featherweight, 6-0, fighting James Gonzalez, 8-5 in the third fight of the night. Aaron Jeffrey, 11-3 at middleweight, fighting Fabio Aguiar, who is 18-2 at middleweight. That's a good one for the second fight of the night. And then Bryce Logan at lightweight, 12-6 against Mandel Mallow, who's 8-2. Yeah, this is a pretty decent card for Bellator. Usually you've got like a lot of prospects and no-namers, and it's just like they threw every big name they possibly had on one card. It's kind of strange for them, but hey, should be worth viewing anyway. And then UFC on ESPN 38, Sarukian versus Gamrot. That's on Saturday from Las Vegas. Arman Sarukian, he is 18-2 at lightweight. Matthias Gamrot is 20-1. And I have not crunched the numbers yet, so that one looks to me like a toss-up. I mean, take your pick. Both guys look ripped in the photos. They don't just got headshots in the main event photos. They got like full ripped up flex pictures. Both of them look like they could tear my head off if I pissed them off. So that one might go all 5. Neil Magny in the co-main event, 26-8, fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is 15-0. Yeah, I like Magny, but I don't like him enough to pick against Rakhmonov. He is a beast at welterweight, and I'm definitely going to go with him on that one. Undefeated at 15-0. Magny has a little bit more experience, but I look like I'm thinking Rakhmonov is just going to run him over. Josh Parisian, he is 14-5 at heavyweight, fighting Alan Bordeaux, and it's heavyweight. It's 8-3 is Alan Bordeaux, but you can't sleep on the guy. That could be a good one. I'm probably gonna go with Bordeaux on that one. Thiago Moises at lightweight, 15-6, fighting Christos Giagos, who is 19-9. That's gonna be one I'll have to look into. Not really heavier weights. Think a knockout would happen, but you never know. Nathan Maness at bantamweight. He is 14-1, fighting Umar Nurmagomedov, who is 14-0. And it's very tough to bet against any guy named Nurmagomedov, especially one who's undefeated. But Maness has only got the one loss, so we're gonna have to look at both their records pretty in depth to figure out who to pick on that one. Then we got Chris Curtis at middleweight, 28-8 against Rodolfo Vieira, who's 8-1. Looks like experience versus youth maybe in that one at middleweight. Carlos Ulberg at heavyweight, light heavyweight. He is 4-1 against Tafon Nchukwi, 6-2. Haven't seen a lot of either of those guys, so we'll do some deep dive into their records as well. Featherweights, we got, probably gonna butcher this guy's name, Noor Benibiki Shailan, who is 37-10 at featherweight, hitting T.J. Brown, who is 16-8. Then we got bantamweights, Raulian Paiva, 21-4, fighting Sergey Morozov, who's 17-5. And then we got third fight of the night. He doesn't sell. J.P. Buys is his name. 9-4 at flyweight, fighting Cody Durden, who is 12-4. Not Tyler, but Cody Durden. Fight Club fans out there will know what I'm talking about. Okay. Brian Kelleher, 24-13, fighting Mario Bautista, who is 9-2 at bantamweight. And then the first fight of the night, Vanessa Demopoulos at strawweight. She is 7-4, fighting Jin Yu Frey, who is 11-6. All right. So, what else? Oh, we've got some news, too, that just broke pretty much today, like 8 hours ago. August 6th, we've got some fights coming up to talk about, and we got to talk about Tony's all-time favorite fighter, Jake the Problem Child Paul. Loves that guy, doesn't he? Tommy Fury is finally going to be given his chance here. From what I read, Jake Paul pretty much gave him like 24 hours to decide if he wants this fight, and then, set it up. And of course, the big news that's been going around is that Jake Paul is going to fight Mike Tyson, and it's going to be $300 million and all this other bullshit, But to me, I mean, I've heard Mike Tyson say that he's not going to fight again. He's got a real bad taste in his mouth from the first one. I don't think he's even been paid yet, unless he has won his lawsuits or whatever it's come of that.
The Roy Jones fight?
From the Roy Jones fight, yeah. He says he's not been paid by Trump.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, and then, he just doesn't seem to really be into it in a few of the interviews I've seen. But, you throw $300 million at the guy, sure, he's going to agree to it, but it might be a situation where he's like, yeah, let's just do it next year. So Jake probably wants to be fresh, and he probably got, they're very close, I believe, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. They hang out a lot. They drink together, they hang out, fucking, they talk a lot. They've been on, I don't know if Jake has been on Mike's podcast, but Mike has been on Jake's, and the infamous one where he ate a freaking eighth of mushrooms on air. It was great interview. But yeah, I just don't see this one as being like anything less than a setup. Like the whole thing is just going to be fake, which is probably why Tyson would agree to it. Because there ain't no way he's going to allow Jake Paul to knock him out. But I don't think Jake could anyway. Well, I don't think he's going to knock Jake out either. He's like, he's going to feel bad for the guy if he gets him in trouble. Hold him up. So I don't know. I don't know how much that's going to sell, other than off Tyson's name. But Tommy Fury is going to have to stand in temporarily for now, and we'll see how that goes. But it's definitely a step up from a lot of Jake's, startup competition here. So we're going to have to see how he handles that. But Tommy took his chance this time. Let's hope he doesn't screw it up again. Amanda, former guest of ours, Real Deal Serrano, she is going to defend her featherweight world title against power-punching Argentinian Brenda La Pumita Carbajal in the co-main event. And guess where the fight is? Madison Square Garden on Showtime pay-per-view. August 6th. Save the date. They're going to have their first press conference on Wednesday, June 29th. Madison Square Garden. So we'll see. I think that will be a decent fight. We're going to see what Jake is really made of. And that one, it will definitely not be fake. Although I would not put it past Paul to put some kind of clause in there that says he can't be knocked out or some crap like that. Which one was that? Was what they did in the last one. Anyway. It is what it is. Let's see what we got in the boxing and mixed martial arts updates for today, and then we'll close it out. Oh, another thing we haven't talked about. Usyk and Joshua, a rematch has been set. And also, Deontay Wilder has announced he will be coming back officially. Don't have an opponent for him yet, as far as I know.
Well, you know what? And that's not a bad thing because, first of all, he's still going to sell a lot of tickets just because of his natural power. And, if you got a fighter, if you're a manager and you're willing to take that risk, yeah, that's a big name to get on your ledger. I can understand not wanting to take that risk because, Deontay has shown that right hand can pretty much knock out anybody at any time, with the exception of Tyson Fury, and he did have him down 4 times in 3 fights. So,
wow. There's a story. Gegard Mousasi.
He'll still make some money.
Gegard Mousasi cut 24 pounds in one day for his fight tomorrow.
Well, that beat my record.
That's just the headline. I don't even want to read that story. Cut off his left leg. No. Oh, 24 pounds. That's a lot of water weight.
Yes, it is.
But, we got some wrestling news to talk about, too. I actually broke this news to my fiance's son, who is a huge wrestling fan, and he had not heard about it at the time when I went down to North Carolina.
Did Vince McMahon got fired from his own company?
Yes. Not only that, but, big scandal. Yes.
Yeah.
Huge scandal. So, this is just weird to me because, Vince McMahon hired a lawyer to be like an assistant to him, and he started having sex with her, basically is what this allegation is. And not only that, but he passed this girl on to one of his own real assistants, as like a vice president of something, Laurinaitis. So,
yep.
The fact that they, did the deed or whatever and were screwing around is not surprising. The surprising part is they were doing it with a lawyer.
Yeah,
Like,
don't think that person's really like.
are you asking to get sued? I mean, they had all kinds of non-disclosure agreements and stuff like that, but the word got out. Now there's a big investigation. Vince McMahon's stepped down, and it's going to get ugly. I mean, and then, you don't even heard anything about the wife. What is the wife going to do? Is there going to be a divorce? Is the company going to get split up?
Well, the last thing I heard is that they've been separated, and I didn't know that. I read that somewhere. I'm like, they've
really?
been separated.
Well, that's not very
I
surprising.
had never heard that.
I hadn't heard that either. You know, but
His daughter Stephanie had taken a leave of absence for a bit, but she had to step in as the interim CEO.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I have a little bit of a local connection because Triple H, who is going to be in position to take over at some point, he's married to Stephanie McMahon. He's got actually a place up here on the lake. A huge mansion over in a town called Meredith, which is like 2 towns away from me. I have not yet seen it, but heard crazy things about how unbelievable it is. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where this goes, for sure. I don't know if we're going to get too many details, but the details we got right now are pretty crazy. August 20th is the rematch, and it's going to be in Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about Usyk and
Yeah.
So who knows what can happen there? Sort of neutral ground. Usyk 19-0. Joshua 24-2 with 22 knockouts. Usyk's got just 13, but obviously did the job the last time. So anyway, Wilder, as we mentioned, he hasn't fought since October 2021, which is obviously the big Fury fight, and he has been hinting at a return, but he's still leaving it open to not. He says, I'm having such a good time outside the ring, you know what I mean? You gotta understand, I make more money outside the ring than inside it. This is where I am. And I got a statue. He says, let's go. I think he will be back, though. You can't go out like that.
I think so.
You can't go out like that. You gotta at least, try to go out on a win. So, 24 pounds in one day. Yikes. Came in at a perfect 185, though. Alright. Guess that's about it for us. Till next week. Thanks for stopping by.
That confuses me. Well, this is boxing related, right?
Yep.
I need to get a new pair of bag gloves. So the last 2 bag gloves that I ordered a pair from Title, and then as I ordered them, I got the largest size they had available, which was not the largest size they had. And they said these fit kind of small. Well, I have thick hands, and when I tape my hands up, I tape them like I'm going to fight. I used a knuckle pad, the gauze and all that, because I've had so many hand problems over the years anyway. So, I'll spend a little bit extra money to keep my hands from really bothering me because I figure I type all day for work. And they didn't fit. They weren't comfortable. All right, I gave them to my nephew for his graduation last year. So I ordered a pair of ring size. Once again, ordered the largest that they had available, which was not the largest they had. So now, I'm like, all right, I gave them to my dad. I'm still using the ones that are basically, the foam is so broken down, it's like my knuckles are coming through them. And I'm like, man.
Tough to let go of those favorite ones, though, sometimes.
Tony, what size do you wear? Triple X, or what size do you wear?
You figure it's like, I usually get like the double X, and the last time they either had large XL or XL, double XL. Well, the large XLs were definitely not big enough, and like they have large XL or XL double XL, and I was getting the large XL, and they were like, my hands were literally going numb after one round. It was bad. I had to like take them off. I couldn't do it. So I gave them one pair to my dad. He uses them, just when he does his one routine where he does the 500 punches up and down. So now I'm like, shit. So now I'm like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I found this one set of gloves that have 15% more compartment in the fist area, and they're 20-ounce bag gloves. These are going to be great for working out. I'm ordering them tonight, and now, of course, I'm trying to look for discount codes. So the one, I was going to order stuff from Ringside, and it goes, hey, there's a save 40% off select Ringside, items, but they have to be Ringside items. Okay, and you got Ringside gauze. It's Ringside gauze. That doesn't count. That's not a Ringside item, but it does fucking Ringside. What is it then? Make up your mind. So I'm like, well, now they ain't getting it. So I'm getting these gloves from Tidal. I'm getting more gauze because I want to get back into the boxing again. I got a big problem coming up. I went to I got to tell you guys this one. You guys will appreciate this. I went to a concert last week, and I was like, I don't know if I'm in as good a shape as I should be. I'm walking and I'm lifting, and I'm like, I'm thick. Whatever. But I'm like, midriff's a little thicker than it should be. Got to work on that. And I got a festival coming up in 6 weeks, and I got to look good for it. 'Cause I'm going to be in a tank top. So I said, I got to get back into the walking's great, doing some running's great. I'm getting back in the jumping rope. Got to get back into the bag work. 10 rounds, at least 3 times a week. But you'll
Same here.
This.
I am definitely going to do that myself. I did actually
You got a wedding to train for, buddy.
Yeah, I was supposed to be training for this wedding, and I did actually get back to hitting the bag. Did a couple workouts, but I just wasn't consistent with it. And then when we got down there, I found out it was like Vegas. There's so many people down there that all the businesses are competing, and there's a lot of businesses down in the Raleigh area of North Carolina from what I found. And the biggest thing is food. Like, they're trying to feed a lot of people in that area, so there's a lot of competition. And I found it really crazy that, like, 90% of the restaurants have over 4-star out of 5-star rating on the apps, like Google and all that. So I was like, wow, there's a lot of good food around here. And, normally we even tried to do it. We bought a bunch of food at the beginning of the week, and we were supposed to, eat from the house. But so we went with a teenager who normally doesn't go on vacation, and when he works all day, he doesn't eat much. But when he's on vacation, he kept reminding us he eats all the time. The kid was literally, like, every 15 minutes talking about how hungry he was. He goes, the number one topic of conversation for him the whole trip. So we literally probably saw like 15 different restaurants in a 6-day period. If we didn't actually see the place, we got it delivered because, nowadays you got DoorDash and all that other stuff, and these kids are hooked on it. So, yeah, that did not help with the weight situation, but it didn't break the bank as much as I thought it would. One of the funnier places was the first place we went to was Texas Roadhouse, and of course, I ordered the sweet tea. My first place in North Carolina. It was really good stuff. The meal was good and everything like that, but it was wicked funny that waitress just kept calling all of us baby. What do you want, baby? And I was like, yep, we're in the South. We are definitely in the South. Yeah. My actually favorite place was just some little pizza place. It was actually pretty decent size, but they had everything you could think of. They had a buffet section. They had all the different options for pizzas, and subs. They even gave us our appetizer for free, which was cool because we had just told them it was the first time we'd been there. So, like, oh, that's on the house. I was like, oh, this is cool.
You'll appreciate this. So, last week I said I was going to this concert, and like I said, I ordered a tank top. I had my cowboy hat with the Kenny Chesney country concert, and I'm funny when it comes to certain events where I sit. If I go to a boxing match, hey, when I was a kid, we were just trying to get our asses in the door, so plenty of fights. Gotti Ward, I sat up like in the nosebleed of the nosebleeds. I mean, they weren't horrible seats, but, they weren't the best. Back in the day, I'd go to, Philly game, and I was just, I'd sit in a certain area, and sometimes they were good, sometimes they weren't good. I go to Phillies games now. I give me the cheapest seat, I'm not going to go to it. Eagles games, wherever you put me, who cares? I'm drunk anyway. Fights, I like good seats. And concerts, I'm real funny, because with concerts, I went to an anniversary show for the one radio station, and they were giving away so many free tickets. My friend got a couple free. He goes, hey, me and a couple other people are going. You want to go? I said, this is about 8 years ago. I said, yeah, I'll go. You couldn't move. I was like, you couldn't get to the bathroom. People were throwing up. You couldn't move. I said, you know what? When I come back to this place, I will never be on the lawn again. I will have to have a seat. I won't go in the pit anymore because I feel I'm too old to stand there for 5 straight hours where you can't lean on anything. You got to stand straight up like you're almost at attention. Never again. So this concert, tickets went on sale 3 years ago. I didn't order them because I was trying to see who wanted to go. Well, 2020 comes, and concert gets postponed 1 year. 2021 is going to come. We're not sure we're going to be out of the COVID woods yet. We're going to postpone for another full summer. So I don't have tickets. I don't have tickets. And now who wants to go? Nobody's getting back to me. Okay. I'm independent enough. I'll go down by myself. I had some friends. Yeah, we'll be there. We already got our tickets. Okay, great. Where are you going to be? We're going to be up at the nosebleed. Yeah, good. I hope you don't have an extra because I don't want it. I'll get my own. So I see one on StubHub. Lower level. Okay, this is good. StubHub verified. Okay, good. Lower level, 5th row. Sounds good. Not far from the stage. Okay. I order it. It was $180, which the base value was $225. So I'm already getting it at a discount. So with the fees, it comes up to $212. With the fees, if it would have face value, it would have been about $270. Okay, fine. Buy my ticket. The guy emails me, seats 15 and 16. This some bitch better not have charged me twice. He didn't. He charged me once. Sent me 2 tickets.
Wow.
Okay. So now I get down there. I didn't talk to anybody because it was only 2 days for the concert, and I didn't want to post it on social media because then I see people that would say, I'll go, that I didn't want to go with. So I'm like, okay, I'll go down there. Maybe I'll hawk it. Maybe I'll hawk it when I'm down there. So I'm down there. And I'm partying beforehand. I'm tailgating. I'm having a good old time. An email comes across. We're sorry for the inconvenience. We are canceling your order.
Oh.
What do you mean you're canceling my order? The concert's already starting, and I'm about to walk in. What do you mean you're canceling my order? So now I'm like, shit. I'm like, all right. Something Joe Smith did not have was Plan B. My Plan B is, if my concert ticket is canceled, what I'm going to do is try to use it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to order the cheapest ticket I can off Ticketmaster right then and there on the spot, but then walk down using my screenshot of the better seats and still walk down.
Nice.
So I walk in, throw the barcode up. Come on in, sir. Oh, I'm in, and I'm getting refunded for my ticket. So basically, I went for free.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
So much for inflation. Tony reversed the curse and went to deflation.
You know what I say? Yeah, I was having lunch today with a friend of mine, right? And I said, in life, there's some things called right place, right time.
Yeah.
And when I did the when I went down for the one Rocky audition, I happened to have a look that the person, I caught her attention. And maybe because I had just come out of surgery 3 days prior, and I looked kind of weathered and beaten up, because they were looking for people that were in the bars, in the streets, kind of, down on their luck, Philly people, kind of rough around the edges. And maybe I had that look. I didn't get that part, but because of the whole appendix situation, she remembered me, called me the appendix guy. Years later, 12 years later, it's time to audition for Creed 2. My thing comes in. She remembers me, the appendix guy. And she's like, you want to be in Vegas, you want to be in the Vegas fight scene in the crowd. I said, yeah. She goes, okay, I want you to, you're a VIP. You just came off the craps tables. You're a little drunk, but you're a high roller. You're a money guy. You're front row at the heavyweight championship of the world. You got to dress like that. I said, I can do that. And I threw my fedora on. I put my one shirt on with like a black vest and a tie, but the tie wasn't all the way up, so it looked like I was drinking a little bit and playing on the craps table. I walked in there and they said, you know what, you are absolutely perfect. You are what we are looking for. You're in the front row now where the cameras are going to be. It was luck. Well, let's be honest. They gave me a small little opportunity and I blew the door down. People say to me, why do you come to these? I'm like, why will you pay to meet Carl Weathers? Wow, that's stupid. Why are you wasting your money to meet Carl Weathers? I said, you know why? Because Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed. My outfit is a replica of Apollo Creed. And the thing is, you know what? If I get in front of him and he sees me, he might say, you know what? Look at this idiot. And you never know what door that'll open. I have no problems doing the stuff at the Phillies games, and people say, hey, can you come do this appearance? Sure. Because, why not? It just gets my name out there.
Yeah.
I said that to a friend today. I said, a lot of my life has been luck. Right place, right time.
Yeah. Same here.
And taking advantage of it.
Same here. All of us can have a little story about that, I'm sure. Well, anyway, let's chat next week. Lots of stuff going on.
All right, guys. So enjoy the fight.
All right.
No cheap dates. All right. Till next week. Adios.